שאצלי נוף פסטורלי שתלחץ נציל את העולם החש.
All right, so thank you, Gil. This was amazing, and you can actually thinking about this creative session, thinking about what you heard from Zev, and you can't wonder where this is all going to take us with Gen AI, right? So Zev talked about it. We were just talking about the creative machine. How do we create efficiency while using creative? But where Gen AI is going to take the creative world and actually all other aspects of life. So I'm actually super, super excited to invite Jan LeCun to join us live from Paris for this Q&A. As I shared with you before, Jan is considered to be one of the top 3 godfathers of AI in our generation. And just to make sure everyone remember, this is Sunday. The session was supposed to be on Monday. So this is Sunday. It's Jan's weekend and actually also holiday. And he's on his own in our Paris office just for us. So thank you, Jan, for being here. It's an honor, literally honor, to host you.
Pleasure to be here.
I'm going to kick us off with the first question, and then we are going to hand it to the audience. So Jan basically asked not to be prepared for this session. He said, give it to me. The harder the question are, the best. So I'm going to start with the hard one. So here it is. In an open letter in March this year, global leaders like Elon Musk, Steve Wozniak, Yuval Noah Harari called all AI labs to immediately pause for at least 6 months the training of AI systems that are more powerful than GPT-4. So to pause. In another letter, in May, that was signed by Bill Gates and Sam Altman, they stated that, listen to that, mitigating the risk of extinction, hashmada, from AI should be a global priority alongside other risks such as pandemics and nuclear war. On the other hand, in recent interviews with you, Jan, I heard you share very, very different thoughts. So maybe you can share them with this room.
Right. Yeah, so I didn't sign any of those letters. In fact, I held several public debates, one with Yuval Harari, another one, 3 actually with Yoshua Bengio, some in French magazines, one which was a public debate in Toronto a few weeks ago. So I disagree with all of this. First of all, I think the current state of technology is nowhere near matching human intelligence. There are certain tasks that AI can do much better than humans, but that's not new. It's been the case for decades that computers are better than humans at many tasks. So the fact that now they can pass the bar exam or do something like that is really nothing new. But those systems are missing basic capabilities compared to human and animal intelligence. So I'm fond of saying that the smartest of the GPT or whatever are still less intelligent than your house cat. They don't have the same kind of...
Our house cat, you said?
Your house cat or your dog.
Oh my God, okay.
They can pass the bar exam, but they can't do what your cat does. They can't even do what a 10-year-old can do. A 10-year-old can learn in one trial within minutes to clear up the dinner table and fill up the dishwasher. We don't have any AI technology today to come in anywhere close to this. And it's not because we can't build the robots. We can. But we just can't make them smart enough to do this. We still don't have completely level 5 autonomous driving. And any teenager can learn this in about 20 hours of practice. So obviously, we're missing something really big in the way we are building those systems. They're not that smart. They're pretty good at storing a lot of information approximately. They're very fluent with language, and that fools us into thinking they are intelligent. But their understanding of the world is very limited. Their reasoning and planning abilities are basically non-existent. And of course, they make they make stuff up, right? They invent facts. As long as they sound good, they make them up. So they're not, I mean, they may be dangerous, but mildly, not because they are super intelligent. They may be dangerous because they're stupid. That's a different story. Okay, so then there is the question of how long is it going to take before we get systems that are more intelligent than humans? And is it going to be just a matter of making the current systems bigger? Or do we need some conceptual breakthroughs? And the answer, I think, is that we need conceptual breakthroughs that we don't have any idea what they are. Or I have some ideas, but which I've published, but are they the right ideas? I don't know. So it's very difficult to think about something being dangerous when you don't know how to build it. It's as if someone in 1930 had asked, how are we going to make jet planes safe, even though jet planes weren't invented yet? Like, there's no way to make something safe if you don't know how it works. So I think all of those calls are very premature. And in fact, I even think that once we know how to make those things intelligent, we'll know also how to make them controllable and steerable and safe. I think those two things are actually related. So I don't subscribe to any of this. And then there is, of course, the fact that calling for a 6-month moratorium is completely useless. I mean, people are not going to follow it. They didn't, in fact.
All right, thank you. I'm not sure what I am more. Happy that there's no danger in the air, or sad that AI is stupid. I need to think about it. But as we said, let's take it to the room. So do we have questions? Yes, amazing. All right. Let's make sure that we can hear Felix. Working?
Hi, okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Felix from Under Outfit. So Gen AI is a huge buzzword. So as an old guy, I'm very used to all buzzwords. And you cannot run any conversation with any tech people, entrepreneurs, or whatever, without hearing about Gen AI and what's going to do and what it can do. I'm still waiting for my NFT of apes as a buzzword to make money for me. What do you think about Gen AI and where it's going?
Well, I think that, generative AI is super useful for a lot of things, certainly for writing assistance, if you're a writer, any kind of writer, right, for any purpose, those systems really kind of fill up your page with something that you can modify and make it correct. They're going to spew nonsense, but that's okay. You can correct it. Then obviously for images and video, those things are going to make huge progress and basically be useful for all kinds of applications that are going to make people creative. And it's not just images and video, it's also music and long-form videos and everything, telling stories, blah, blah, blah. So it's going to basically help a lot more people than today to be creative, people who currently don't have the sort of technical abilities, if you want, to be creative. And then, of course, there's going to be, systems are going to make a lot of progress over the next few years, which will allow them to be able to plan their answer. So one main limitation of generative AI at the moment is that, particularly for text, they generate text autoregressively, which means they're trying to produce the next word or the next token. And then you inject that token into the input and then ask it to predict the next token, and then inject that in the input and then just keep going, right? And there is a major fundamental flaw with this process, which is that the system does not have any ability to really plan the answer or kind of to devote a sort of unlimited amount of time to kind of think about what answer it's going to produce. It's going to spend a fixed amount of computational steps to produce every single token. So it can't really think, right? And so that's a major limitation. So we're going to have new systems within the next few years that are going to be able to plan their answer. We already have systems of this type. They're used for games mostly. So if you have a chess player, a Go player, a poker player, something like that, they all plan their answers. Why can't we do the same thing for text, right? It turns out it's difficult, but that's where it's going to replace autoregressive LLMs. in the near future. And those systems will be a lot more steerable because to plan their answer, they will have to satisfy certain objectives. And those objectives will make those systems factual and safe and steerable and everything we want from them. So my prediction is that a few years from now, nobody in their right mind would use autoregressive LLM of the type that we're using today.
Perfect. So Gen AI will no longer be the buzzword. We're going to have a different buzzword. All right. Do we have another question from the audience? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Hi. I'm Lior for Premise. And I wanted to ask everyone that was speaking about how AI will affect the workplace. And we are in a room full of engineers, entrepreneurs, creatives, people, and data scientists. And I wanted to ask, should we be worried? How would it affect us? Would we have a job in 5 years from now?
Yeah, we'll have jobs. I think we should be excited about it because, it's certainly going to transform our jobs. It's certainly going to make some jobs disappear. I don't think any of the jobs you mentioned will disappear. But certainly the usual joke is not really a joke, but the usual joke is that the people who learn to use those tools will replace the one who refuse to learn them, right? And it's true it's been true over the history of technology, right? When computer-assisted design started being usable by mechanical engineers, the old guards that refused to really learn how to use it, or architects, kind of went out of business more or less, right? And so it's a bit of the same thing here. Those tools are going to make all of us more productive, including data scientists, software engineers, AI engineers, all of us. So if you take like a first order estimate of the effect of this, what you might conclude is that because I can now do the work of 5 people, there's going to be only 5 times fewer people like me doing that job, and maybe I'm not going to be one of the 5 that survives. But in fact, that's not what economists are telling us. Economists are telling us if something now becomes 5 times cheaper, there's going to be a 5 times bigger market for it. Okay, so there's just going to be more jobs for different types of jobs. They're going to evolve, which is normal for as a consequence of technological evolution.
Yeah, so like no one talks about the demand that will be increased because of AI, which will create more place for more jobs. That's super interesting. So I think that we have time for one more question. Do we have one? Hey, Ronnie! Yay! Yes.
Hi. My name is Ronnie. I'm an investor. And a lot of my investor friends added another question in their due diligence recently. And they ask all founders, regardless of their B2B, B2C, deep tech or not, they ask everyone, what about AI? What about Gen AI? And all founders are now required to really come up with random answers for what do they do in relation with AI. So the question for you is really, do you think that there are any immediate action items? Maybe, in this room there are hundreds of B2C founders. So for them, is there anything that is really urgent for tomorrow morning for them to do about AI and Gen AI?
Well, I think there is, the specific answers depends on the specific business. So I can't really give a specific answer not knowing what business we're talking about. But there are general answers, right? So the general answer is, certainly AI is going to disseminate in all corners of the economy. So regardless of what your business is, it's going to be affected by, in some ways, by AI. But I think what's useful is to project ourselves in sort of a relatively distant future, maybe say 10 years from now. So imagine that we make significant progress in systems that can reason, that can plan, that understand how the world works. Current LLMs don't really understand how the world works because they're purely trained on text, which means they don't really understand physical reality. This is going to change. We're going to have multimodal systems that really understand how the world works, right? It turns out to be much more difficult scientifically than actually dealing with text and language. Text and language is easy. It's sort of weird to hear this, but predicting the next word in text is actually a relatively simple task. Predicting what's going to happen in a video, for example, is much, much more complicated, and nobody knows how to do this at the moment. At least not well enough that it can be used for intelligent systems that understand the world. But let's project ourselves 10 years in the future. Perhaps we'll make some progress in that direction. We make some progress towards systems that can reason and plan. And basically, we'll have systems that approach the level of human intelligence. So what that means is that all of us will have, all of our interaction with the digital world will be mediated by an AI system. We're not going to be talking to Google. We're not going to be talking to Facebook or to Instagram or to whatever. We'll be talking to our intelligent best friend, virtual assistant, which is going to help us in our daily lives, remind us of all kinds of things, teach us things. It's going to revolutionize education, keep us safe. And then it's like having a staff of really smart people working for you, except it's not people. And so we shouldn't feel threatened by this, because people feel threatened by machines being smarter than themselves. But I don't think we should feel threatened by this. We should feel excited by being able to having a staff of virtual people working for us that are smarter than us. I don't know about you, but I only hire people who are smarter than me. That's the best way to be successful. You should probably do this too as a founder, or at least try to do this. So this is going to amplify human intelligence, and this is the commodity that we are really kind of missing the most in society today, right? Societies that work the best are the ones that use intelligence the smartest. That's why, we are on the cusp of perhaps like a sort of new enlightenment, if you want, like a new era of for humanity, perhaps a transition that is similar to what happened when the printing press was invented in the 15th century. And that's why I don't understand people who want to assimilate a technology that is supposed to amplify human intelligence, assimilate it to nuclear bombs and lethal pathogen. It's a complete nonsense. It's the opposite. Of course, technology has dangers, like every technology, every powerful technology has dangers. But this one is designed to make people more smarter. Like, that's intrinsically good. Of course, you have to do it right, but it's intrinsically good. So imagine this future. All technology is going to be completely changed by this, right? It's already the case that application fields of AI, like, there used to be computer vision, natural language understanding, speech recognition, speech synthesis, and then various other subfields. All of this now is just one thing. You use, large neural nets, pre-trained using self-supervised learning, and then you fine-tune it on the task that you want. This is the future. We're going to have, really smart systems that do a lot of things. So it's going to change a lot for the technology landscape. And this is going to happen within a decade, perhaps two.
Jan, thank you so much for joining us today. This was fascinating, yes. And I have only one last ask, because we asked a lot. We asked you to join, then we changed the date, then we asked you to go to the Paris office. I have one more ask. Next time, in Tel Aviv.
Sure.
All right, there's 100 people or hundreds of people here listening to you. So waiting to host you physically. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
אז אני חוזרת לעברית. אוקיי, חבר'ה, אנחנו ממש כזה דקה, 2 דקות.